The morning started like any other in our quiet cul-de-sac, until Grandpa stormed into the kitchen, muttering under his breath. I was halfway through my cereal when he grumbled, "She did it again." I didn't need to ask who he meant. Karen, our overzealous HOA president who treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom.
No loan ornament was safe.
No Christmas lights could sparkle past 10 p.m. But this time, she'd crossed a line. She parked 2 trucks in our garage, Grandpa growled, slapping a paper onto the table. It was an HOA letterhead note, written in perfect cursive, explaining the trucks belonged to her nephew, temporarily visiting.
No warning, no phone call, just takis chavd under our doormat.
And now 2 massive diesel beasts sat in our garage, blocking Grandpa's beloved woodshop. Grandpa isn't a man who yells. He doesn't have to. But that morning, there was fire behind his glasses. I followed him outside. Sure enough, 2 oversized trucks were backed into our garage like they owned it. Grandpa stared in silence for a full minute before wordlessly hitting the garage remote. The door rolled down, and he locked the side entrance. "She can get them back," he said flatly, "after she explains herself to the police." I blinked.
"You're recalling the cops?"
"She trespassed.
Broke into my garage."
That's unlawful entry. She's about to learn what private property means. By 10 a.m., Karen was pacing on our driveway, barking into her phone and pounding on the garage door. She had the nerve to look offended, screeching, "You can't do this. That's theft." Grandpa just sat on the porch, calmly sipping coffee. "I'm not touching them," he said. "Just securing my property. The police will handle the rest." And handle it they did. A confused officer arrived, watching Karen wave her HOA badge like it was a federal ID. Grandpa simply showed him ring camera footage of her unlocking our garage without permission. "Ma'am," the officer said, "this is trespassing. And technically, unlawful entry." Karen's jaw dropped. She wasn't used to hearing no. But Grandpa? He was immune to her fake charm and veiled threats. She got off with a warning, but the trucks were gone by noon. Still, this was far from over. Later that afternoon, an HOA-wide email blasted every inbox. "Emergency meeting tonight. Neighborhood security breach." "She's spinning this," I muttered, reading over Grandpa's shoulder. "Let her," Grandpa said, polishing his old military medals. "If she wants a fight, she picked the wrong veteran." By 6 p.m., the HOA clubhouse was packed. Karen stood at the front like a disgraced senator, flanked by board members. She launched into her speech, twisted logic, dramatic tone. "I was merely storing my nephew's vehicles for 24 hours, she announced. But a certain resident overreacted, locking my property inside his garage and involving law enforcement. We must address this breakdown of trust." Grandpa raised his hand. Karen's smile was tight. "Briefly," she said. He stood. "I have security footage of you unlocking my garage without permission."
"That's not a breakdown of trust."
"That's a violation of property rights. And I'm not the only one you've done this to." Heads turned. Neighbors started murmuring. Stories spilled out. Karen issuing petty fines, making surprise inspections, even trying to evict a renter because their curtains were too colorful. Karen's confidence cracked. Grandpa kept going.
"Il propose un vote."
Effective immediately, the board should review the HOA president's conduct and establish limits on her authority, especially regarding private property. The room buzzed with agreement. Karen shrieked, "This is a witch hunt." But it was too late. The motion passed. The suburban monarch had finally been checked. As we walked out, Grandpa chuckled. "That went better than expected." I glanced back at Karen, furiously texting. Something tells me she's not finished. She wasn't. For 3 days, Karen went quiet, too quiet.
"No flyers, no snide emails."
Grandpa called it the calm before the storm. On the fourth day, it hit. 5 HOA citations arrived in the mail, accusing Grandpa of everything from improper lawn edging to having a flagpole 2 feet too tall. He opened each envelope slowly, eyebrows raised higher each time, before laughing. "She's desperate," he said. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Give her exactly what she wants, attention and witnesses." He filed formal appeals for every violation, copying the entire HOA mailing list and attaching photos proving the claims were bogus. That night, our security camera pinged again. Karen was back, pacing at the end of our driveway in the dark, snapping photos like she was preparing for court. At 10 p.m., police knocked. "Noise complaint," the officer said.
Power tools.
Grandpa gestured to his unplugged workbench. "Been asleep since 9.
Want security footy."
The officer smirked. "Wouldn't be the first false call. We'll file a report." Grandpa invited him in, offered coffee, and gave him the full story, from the trucks to the fake citations. The officer nodded, saying he'd forward it to the city's civil harassment unit. "She's escalating," I said. "That's what desperate people do," Grandpa replied. "But the harder she pushes, the more she exposes herself." He paused. "And I have one last move she won't see coming."
What kind of move?
I asked. He smiled. "The HOA's about to get a new president." The special election was announced the following week. Grandpa filed his candidacy immediately. "She's been president for 8 years, Mrs. Cortez whispered. "No one's ever run against her."
Your grandpa's got guts punto.
His campaign was simple: no drama, no power trips, just peace, privacy, and fair treatment for all. Karen, meanwhile, went full politician, door-to-door visits, professional signs, even hiring a lawn crew for optics. The night of the vote, the clubhouse buzzed like reality TV. Karen gave her usual polished speech about community cohesion. Then Grandpa stood. No notes. No script.
I served my country.
"I've paid off this house. I bake cookies for my grandkids.
What I don't do is bully my neighbors."
This isn't about me or Karen, it's about the kind of neighborhood you want to live in. The room erupted in applause. Karen snapped, "This isn't a popularity contest." "No," Grandpa said. "It's a trust contest." The ballots were counted on the spot. Grandpa won by a landslide. Karen stormed out before the results were even finalized. One board member handed Grandpa a folder labeled transition binder, full of documents and complaints Karen had ignored. Grandpa smiled. "Guess we've got work to do." That night, we sat on the porch under the stars. "She'll probably move," I said. "She'll definitely appeal," Grandpa replied. "But it doesn't matter. She broke trust, and that's hard to fix. Do you think she'll ever admit she was wrong?"
Grandpa laughed. Not a chance.
"But we don't need her to."
The trucks never come back. The bogus citations vanished.
And our garage stayed blissfully empty, except for Grandpa's toolbox and the hand-painted sign he hung proudly.
Karen Free Zone.
If you loved watching Grandpa shut down HOA Karen with pure veteran energy, smash that like button.
Got your own crazy HOA story?
Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life revenge, neighborhood drama, and satisfying takedowns. Grandpa's just getting started.